Okay, so this is over 2 years in the making. This is the first episode of Fun Films Podcast. Me and Brad were my buddy. We're gonna go into our backstory just a little bit through the episode because it's the first one. But we were doing this over 2 years ago. But here today, we're here to talk about one of Brad's favorite movies, and it's not one of my favorite, but I can admit it's an awesome movie and it's a lot of fun. Crimson Tide, the 1995 uh it's like a Cold War thriller if you haven't seen it with Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman. But before I keep going, how you doing, dude? Excited?
I'm doing good. Nice to be here with you, Isaac.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna go on YouTube. I hope you actually watch. We're gonna give you the whole idea of this show, Fun Films Podcast, is we're gonna go to some of our favorite movies. We're gonna bounce back and forth. I've got some fun categories, but we're gonna break down the movie, give it our review, and just talk about the film and why it's a fun movie. So let's just start there. Crimson Tide, 1995. Denzel starting to come into like this was with Tony Scott, but this was kind of Denzel like, can you carry a movie? This was kind of a test for him. And I think the answer is a resounding yes. And you get Gene Hackman in a really fun role. I think that helps the movie a lot, both of them. But why is this one of your favorites, Brad?
I think I've seen this movie probably more than any other movie in my life, possibly. I don't know. I catch it on somehow. I catch it on TV. Like I don't watch TV anymore these days. I don't even have cable. But back when I did, this thing would just be on, and I would just anytime I flip channels, I would stop right there and be like, "All right, this is what I'm doing tonight."
Is there okay? So I listen to movie podcasts now. I've gotten more and more into them because I almost went for movie review podcast before I decided to do fun football podcast. So that's my football show. That's probably where people know me. But me and Brad did movie reviews back in high school over 20 years ago. So that's why I want to do with you is because we both have an affinity for movies. But with this movie, is there a certain point that it has to be at for you to like stick with it? Or could it literally just start at the opening credits and you're going to watch the whole thing through? I know you don't have TV anymore, but just pretend you still have cable. Is there a point where you like a scene you would need to be at, or the beginning you could watch it all the way through?
I don't abort out of movies. I know there's
Oh,
some
you
people that
don't.
will no. I know there's some people that will watch like the first 10 minutes. It doesn't catch their interest and they abort out of that. If I click play, I'm watching the whole thing. So
Okay. Okay. So, but okay. But let's pretend it was cable days.
mhm.
Is
Flipping
there
channels.
so this is going to lead into one of my categories. But what's one of the I just came up with a name for it on the fly. That's kind of fun. What's one of the standout scenes or the fun scenes in the movie that really stands out to you where you're like it could be at the end. That's one of my favorites when they clash. I think that the last I was going to wait for this. I wanted to kind of go through the movie. We only have 30 minutes on this one, but one of my favorite things about this movie was it builds tension, but that little scene at the end when they have to wait for the 3 minutes, I think that that was one of the smartest things in the entire movie. Now it's two towards the end to count, but what's
Mhm.
a scene in the middle? Is it when Denzel doesn't agree and the mutiny really starts, or is it something else?
Yeah, I mean, standout moment for me is when he first has the captain placed under arrest or whatever it was, and he, announces to the chief of the boat, like, place him under arrest, take him to a stateroom, and everybody's
Mhm.
just standing there, like, are we really doing this? And Denzel just pops out with this. He calls the chief of the boat Cobb, I guess, for an acronym, and he's like, "Now, Cobb," and then that's when they start actually moving. So
I like it. No, the Cobb was the other guy. I don't know how to say the actor's
no, I
name,
know,
but
I know, I know, I know. So
oh
captain, I'm not
yeah,
saying that captain is the chief of the boat. I'm saying
I
he
got you. I
needs the
got
chief
you.
of the boat to place. Yeah.
He's like, now, Cobb, do it right now. He's like, I'm absolutely following through on this
Right.
because he's gonna launch a nuke. And I firmly believe that we shouldn't launch a nuke unless we're absolutely sure. So it was the difference of opinion of the two top guys on the boat and with a nuclear submarine. In this film, they both have to agree to launch the nuke. It can't just be the one guy. That was the whole. It's kind of like how John Wick has its own world. That was the world of this movie, and I don't know if I wish I knew if that was actually like correct in the Navy. But in this movie, it comes down to the dude down below unlocking the key and the captain in the XO agreeing to launch the nuke.
Yeah. And even at the very end of the movie, there's a little credit line that says, like, by the time the movie was being released, the rule has already changed. So I think these may have been the operating procedures, like, at 1995, but apparently in 1996 it already changed.
And that makes me wonder if there was like a real life there wasn't a real life crisis in 95, but let's pretend this was all real. Like what the hell happened in 1995?
I know. And
Because like dang man to like have to
I know. And it said something like, we always say the president of the United States has the like pushes the launch button, or he's the one that gives the final authority. And that's what it sort of says at the end of the movie. Like now it's in the president's hands. But I was just thinking about like how is this done? Like the missiles are still coming out of the sub in the middle of the ocean.
so is
So
he just like I
he's
override
pushing
you?
he's
Boom.
pushing a button that somehow sends the signal and the missiles just fly out of the sub whether the captain of the submarine wants to or not. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I don't know. I know why you love this movie so much though, because the palpable tension and Quentin Tarantino apparently had an uncredited like screenplay credit. And I honestly think this movie
Yes.
could have gotten I don't know if it would have been original or adapted screenplay, but I was a little disappointed it didn't get an Oscar nom for screenplay because just going through it, the subtle stuff it did, for me, I wanted a little more, and I think then the Academy might have been like more on it. It got 3 Academy Award nominations. It got nominated for film editing, sound, and sound editing. It lost to Apollo 13, which is a pretty darn good movie too, and Braveheart. Also, I like that movie. Pretty successful movie. It kind of propelled Denzel's career. He was already starting to come on, like with Glory. He had Philadelphia. He had some movies in the early 90s, and then he went on to do more things. But it opened with almost 19 mil back then, ranked number one. I think that's partly obviously, because of Gene Hackman. I think he had more box office clout at the time than Denzel did. But this was kind of, I think, a star vehicle test for Denzel. Like I said, it ended up earning 91 mil in the US and 66 internationally, made over $150 million. That's pretty solid for a movie like this with Tony Scott, a well-known director. And I think my favorite thing about the movie is it's not necessarily that Denzel steals it, but it wouldn't have worked without anybody else in that role. Like Gene Hackman's just freaking awesome, but
Yeah.
Denzel does all these little things, and you see his confidence grow because he's trying to figure out how to deal with Hackman in the beginning of the movie. But
Mhm.
then it becomes something completely different than just tension. It becomes about not only a mutiny, but if we're gonna freaking launch nukes, like that's such a extreme thing. And the differences in opinion, they hit it a little bit at the end. I almost wish there was a little bit more after the submarine, but I really appreciated Denzel in this movie. I don't know if he won it for me, but what did you think of Denzel here? I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you
lead the
definitely
faster questions. Sorry, I was trying to.
you
Yeah.
definitely need like the movie needed two strong force of will people, right? That
Hmm.
conflict was s- super important. And yeah, Denzel brought it, right? I mean, and there's a little bit of like a racial tension going on, and so,
Yeah.
I don't know if they cast it deliberately to be a white guy and a black guy, or if they adjusted the script a little bit after they knew that was the casting, but they sort of fit that in there with like the Lebenshonor horses being black and
Yeah.
white but black when they were born and all that. Yeah,
It's funny. I was just rewatching some of it because my rental ran out. I might just end up buying it. But the horse thing was genius because he comes to him at the end. He's like, "You're right, and I was wrong." And you know what he's saying. He doesn't want to admit he was right about the nukes. He's talking
right.
about the horses. I just
Yeah.
like
Oh,
the
yeah. Just the
that
just the horses.
just the
That's what you were
horses.
right about.
That was
Yeah.
genius. But the horses, and then the ideology that they talk about in that opening, it's not one of the opening scenes of the movie, but it's like maybe 15, 20 minutes in when they're at the table with all the other heads of the submarine.
Officers. Yeah.
The officers. Thank you for the words. The next one we won't pick a Navy movie unless it's like or like a military movie unless it's Top Gun. um but I appreciated that because they hint at that tension, but it was so cool that you see Gene Hackman sort of in a villain role, but you had somebody good enough as an actor to match Will's with, and I haven't even seen some of the best Gene Hackman roles. I've never seen French Connection. That's going to be on the list for sure.
Mhm.
But that was such, I love when you get two guys in a movie like this when they're going at it, and then you've got something important in the background. It's kind of like, you seen 310 to Yuma?
No,
Damn.
I haven't seen it.
It's got Russell Crowe and Christian Bale going at it. I'm trying to think of some other ones, but I love when you get, it could be a guy and a girl, like Manchurian Candidate with Denzel and Meryl Streep. That's another awesome, awesome movie. But when you get two people that could get nominated for Oscars almost any year going at it in a well written movie, you get fireworks like this. Um, Give me some of your other thoughts because I got some categories and this one's gonna be a little shorter than normal. I want to normally do 45 minutes, but what else makes it one of your favorites?
I just think it goes down easy, like not that much. If I don't know, if you think about what the plot points as they go down, like there's not that many.
Mm,
It's like sort of power changes hands a couple times, and then
mhm.
you're at the end of the movie, and you think, well, how did 2 hours go by? And somehow they just keep the action. I mean, it's like you said, it's more like tension more than action, but it just keeps one thing after another just keeps happening. Like there's the fire, and then there's the drill, and then there's the enemy sub in the water, and then they get the order to fire the nukes, and then they get the order to maybe not fire the nukes. And it's like these just things just keep hitting you. And after you've seen it a bunch of times, like, I mean, for me, rewatching it, I was like, okay, a lot of this stuff is telegraphed. When you know it's going to happen, every
Yeah.
conversation is like, this is like, yep, they're talking about how Denzel doesn't want to fire the nukes, and then sure enough, he doesn't want to fire the nukes. But
True.
you
Foreshadowed
know,
a lot.
yeah, it's definitely. But some of the modern movies are so much more complicated with their plots. Like I don't know, the recent Mission Impossibles. Um, if I try to watch that with my dad as like a guy's action movie, it's just there's so much going on, and if we see it in the theater, it's like we end up talking about it an hour or two, just walking through why did this person do this. And but anyways, going back to these classic movies from the 90s, they are straightforward. You just watch it and you know what's happening. It plays out in an easy to consume way.
That's why I appreciated Top Gun Maverick because it felt like a throwback, but with the right type of modern effects, not just like I love Marvel, but not this VFX slog, like gray mush cloud that doesn't always happen. Like James Cameron with Avatar knows how to do effects right. But with some movies, they just go so heavy on the effects, it looks fake. Mission like Top Gun Maverick felt like a throwback to Top Gun in the 80s or 90s action, like kind of like a Die Hard movie, where there was really, when you break it down, it's an effective plot, but there's not a lot there. This was like that. You're right. There's such like there's definitely disagreement, and then there's a mutiny. Well, before that, there's the we're going to launch the nuke, and then there's the other transmission that doesn't come through, so that's important. And then it's he is like they wouldn't have sent a message for no reason. Is it launch the nukes again? That wouldn't make sense. He knew there was something there, but he couldn't prove it. And there was the fundamental disagreement that builds for the first hour, and then there's some other stuff with the Russian submarine that plays in, but there's very little actual action in an action film. This is an action movie, but you're right. It's like it goes down easy. But one
Yeah.
of the reasons why I like the supporting actors too, Viggo Mortensen was really good in this. Aragorn, I liked him. James
Well,
Gandolfini was good,
since you
but
said his name, I have to cut into what I think about Viggo Mortensen's his character. Okay, he's a great actor, but his character
yeah,
in this movie, I've always hated his character because he
they should
has
have given
no
him more.
spine. No, he just has no
Oh,
spine. Whichever person he's in front of, he decides to go along with them. So he's like in front of Denzel, and he's like, "All right, Denzel, you're right. We shouldn't fire the nukes." And then the captain comes and talks to him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, okay, here you go. Let's go ahead and fire the nukes."
good point. Okay, I got a fun question for you. Where does this stack in all your Denzel movies? Is it your favorite? Because, dude, that guy, like, I mean, we just saw last year, we just saw Gladiator 2 together. I mean, damn, the guy's 70 now. Like, one of my favorite actors. I think as we do this, we're gonna have a lot of Denzel movies, but he's been nominated. Holy dang, 9 times for actor or best supporting actor. I can't believe it. I can't believe he's up to 9 now. Cry Freedom, I've never seen. Glory's great. I haven't seen Malcolm X. That was before this. So he had a breakout role, but this was kind of seeing what he could do box office wise. The Hurricane, Training Day, he won for Training Day and Glory. Flight, I haven't seen Fences. Roman J. Israel Esquire, and then The Tragedy of Macbeth. I was surprised he didn't get a Best Supporting Actor nom for Gladiator 2, but it is what it is. That's just some of his movies. There's so many other great ones. Some like crowd pleasing hits, some critically acclaimed hits. Is this your favorite Denzel movie? Or better yet, is your favorite Denzel performance?
I mean, this was in his early days, I think, right? So, I mean,
Yeah, you've been acting for a minute, but yeah.
Training Day was amazing. I think he probably grew as an actor and he got better. But
Mhm.
this movie hit me during my formative years. So, yeah, I really like it.
It's one of my God. I'd have to rank them, but it's probably one of my top 5. It's up there. I haven't seen Malcolm X. I need to see Cry Freedom. I actually missed The Hurricane. Is for a movie buff that I am. I've missed some of these. Fences just look depressing, but I loved him in Flight, obviously. But some other ones, I mean, like I've always liked Man on Fire. That's a fun movie. I just think it's. I mean, he just does that revenge role well. Equalizer, the first one especially, but he does those well. Um, Even John Q was solid, but he does a good job in Remember the Titans as well. I thought he was the best thing in Gladiator 2 by a mile. Um, if he wasn't in that movie, I don't even know if I would have liked that movie. The lead was solid, but Denzel was by far and away the best thing in that whole movie.
Yeah.
And that's frequently the case. But what's fun about this is I think Gene Hackman, like if I had to pick a winner, which is a question I have in a minute, I don't even know who I'd pick because they gave Gene Hackman, I think he was basically just playing Gene Hackman,
Yeah.
but doing a great job.
Yeah. I mean, in a movie where it basically proves out that Denzel's character was more correct and that their order was canceled,
Yeah.
um, it's sort of like Gene Hackman has to have the role where you still kind of agree with him, even though he was wrong. Like he was doing the
He,
right things.
well, even
It's
the way
just,
he goes about it, he has to threaten his officers. He punches Denzel a couple times.
yeah,
He
probably the most questionable thing he does is when he starts putting guns at people's heads to get the launch codes out of the locker.
of all the questionable things in the movie, that might be the most.
Yeah,
And I don't
yeah.
think he would have done it either time. I really don't. But like you said, Viggo Mortensen's what was that character's name?
Weps. His name is Weps. And
Webs.
and
Yeah.
and here's the thing. That scene where Hackman's got the gun to, he starts it at Weps's head, and then he decides, well, I can't kill Weps because Weps is the guy that has the codes. So he aims it at some no-name character behind Weps, and that ultimately is what convinces Weps to unlock the safe. And
Uh,
again, because I hate this character, I mean, I'm sure that would be extremely stressful moment, and you don't want to see some guy's head blown off right behind you. But the whole point of the movie is that billions of people are going to die if we launch these nukes and it's nuclear holocaust. And it's like there's one guy. I'm sorry, there's one guy that's behind you that's going to get shot by your captain if he follows through on his threat.
just let him do
And
it
you're
and
you're
don't
gonna
let the
pull out
nukes
the
go off.
keys to kill millions of people. That you saved one guy. Congratulations. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Stick to your
mean
principles, man.
yeah, that's a tough decision, but yeah, it is. Yeah, I can't say what I would have done there. That sucks. You don't want to lose anybody, but that one is unfortunate. It's just that was Webster's character. I thought he added a little bit to the role in the supporting guys. They could have maybe gotten a little more written in, but they wanted to keep the conflict between Denzel and Gene Hackman, which was
For sure.
really smart. I think, like I said earlier, one of my favorite things in the movie was when they have to wait the 3 minutes and he just lights a cigar and they talk. I thought
Yeah.
that built maybe the most tension in the movie, and it wasn't even an action scene when you're just waiting for the radio. You're waiting for the radio. And it was fun to watch this because I have seen the movie several times with you, but it had been years. Uh it is a great movie. It's not one of my favorites, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It wasn't like watching for the first time, but it probably been maybe 10 years since I've seen it. So it was not fresh. And I generally remembered the plot, but it was cool watching it. I watched half of it again. That's how much I enjoyed it. Um, Okay, so I don't want to copy from another movie podcast I listened to, but who won the movie here? Who had the best acting in this movie? Was it Denzel or Hackman? If you had to pick, let's say the Academy is going to nominate one person, who'd you pick? You can call it tie.
Mm, I mean,
It's tough, isn't it? Because
yeah, it's
like
tough. I mean,
I don't think the movie
Denzel.
works without either of them. It just doesn't.
Denzel is the younger actor here. He's definitely part of his role is just sort of like a lot more active. Like you see him running around the
Mhm.
ship. You see him. I don't know.
I know. I was impressed.
Get
Hackman like climbed a lot of stairs. Actually, he was in the '60s. He did solid. I don't think he actually punched Denzel, but he threw a couple haymakers.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna go with
Denzel
I'm
did
gonna
do
go with
more.
Hackman. Is a
Okay.
slight nod to Gene Hackman. Yeah.
I agree with you. I don't think the movie works without somebody like Denzel doing what he did, but it was like a quasi villain role for Gene Hackman, but he'd played more villainous characters if you've seen Unforgiven or Superman or geez, other movies too. Um, and I think I've actually seen Hackman even better than this, but this is pretty darn good use of Gene Hackman. So I'm with you. Okay, I got another fun category. What's
Sure.
your favorite scene in the movie? Best scene. So if you were the new Oscar category, what's the
Just to be
best
off the
scene?
beaten path here, I appreciate the scene at the very beginning where before they even get on the boat, the sub, they're doing the scene where they're all out in the rain, and I think Gene Hackman starts his address to them by calling them little ducks,
Oh
and I was like,
yeah,
"What is
right.
that about?"
Right before or right after Denzel says goodbye to his family?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Okay,
right around the same time as he says goodbye to his
okay,
family, and that's also good too. Um,
yeah, I like that one too.
he to focus on that for a second, like he's in the car with his wife, his kid, and I think they either have a dog. I don't think the dog's in the car, but they have a dog, I think. And
Mhm,
he says to his son, little kid, like, "I'm worried about, I think, the dog,"
mhm.
and it's really just a way of saying that to his kid, "Hey, it's going to be okay." But he says that he's worried about the dog and to be the man of the house basically and take care of the dog. And the kid's like, "All right, I can do it, Dad." And I was like, "Huh, yeah, that's a good misdirection. Like, I need to use that on my kids."
I like what he said to his wife too. He's like, I don't know what to say. I see you in my dreams. I thought the whole thing was. There were some moments in the movie that I don't know if you could change a line. Not all the way through. I saw little things. Um, like I haven't seen Hunt for Red October. I'm gonna go watch that soon. But that was one of the scenes of the movie that stood out for me too, because I don't know if there's a thing I would change about it. The car scene, and then I think it's Hackman's right after that. That whole 2 minutes was just about perfect.
Yeah.
So I agree. I agree. I like what he said to the kid. It was perfect. And then what he says to the wife, just subtle. I liked it. Blows a kiss on the window, car window, whole thing. Just perfect. And then it leads into Gene Hackman. So what did he say in that scene?
In the
Little
speech he's giving this.
ducks.
Yeah, yeah, so he's giving a speech to, like, I don't know, motivate his crew or whatever to head out on the ship, and yeah, he's little ducks. I listened to the soundtrack on the way into work this morning, and there's only like 5 songs on the soundtrack, although several of them are like 10 to 15 minutes long. So credit to Hans Zimmer for an amazing soundtrack here.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer. You gotta
But
love him. He added a lot to this movie, actually.
one of the shorter songs, I guess the one that must play during the scene we're talking about, is called "Little Duck" on the soundtrack, and so it's pretty good.
I agree. Okay, that was my favorite scene. I hate that I already gave it away. Dang, there's a lot, man. I think I am gonna go with that 3 minute scene at the end because it alludes back to the horses that they're talking about earlier, but it's a slightly different horse. But I like how it's an analogy for how they disagree. And he stands up to him even there. He's like, they're actually this color. And it's just it shows the power struggle, but in a different form. But yours was actually one of my top three. That was that and it's an easy one. I'm trying not to just stick to the beaten path here, but I did like when he stands up to him. But there was a couple other litter ones throughout when the power changes hands that were effective and stuck out in my memory. When I think my favorite is the 3 minutes at the end when they have 3 minutes and they're sitting there, he's lighting a cigar, they're talking, and it leads into them getting the radio, that whole thing when he gets the actual radio message. I thought they did it really well. You see it come up a couple times. I thought the visual of that was really cool. The way you see it barely coming in, but the power play struggle that was just so clear as day. But I thought it was just written. The dialogue was just, it was like popcorn coming out of the air. It's when it's just starting to pop. It was, I don't know if there's much you can make better there. There was certain parts of this movie. I don't know if you had the best screenwriter in the world, if you could have changed much with not the entire movie, but your scene, maybe this scene, and a few others.
Yeah, there's one moment that I want to mention, which is
absolutely.
The radio engineer,
Oh yeah.
Vossler.
Oh, that's Star Trek. Star Trek.
Yeah, the Star Trek thing,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
But I do want to call it. There's most of the time you identify with like Denzel basically, and you kind of consider Gene Hackman the bad guy. But there's a little phone call where Denzel keeps putting the pressure on the radio
he just
guy
hangs
to
up
fix
on him?
the radio. Yeah, okay, so this is great because
Yeah, he's like, oh, damn it.
yeah, so like I'm an engineer at work, and we've got managers being like, okay, so when can you guys get this done by? And you're like, I don't know, like a week? Who knows? Yeah, and so this is the one moment where I'm like anti Denzel, because I'm like, Denzel, you're acting like a freaking manager here, like micromanaging your radio engineer and asking him, when can you get this done? And I love that he just goes, click. I got no answer for you. Let me get back to work.
That's hilarious. I love that you brought in an engineering take. That was great. Should the movie, I kind of asked you this already. Should the movie have won an Oscar for something, acting, screenplay, or been nominated, like any of the main Oscars, what would you have given it? I think I would have given it a screenplay Oscar nom, or I think I'm with you. I think Gene Hackman deserved it. It'd probably be, I don't know if you give him, I think you'd give him best supporting, because I think Denzel's in the movie more. So I think you could have easily given Gene Hackman a best supporting actor nom. And I think you should have gotten a screenplay nomination. Those would be my two.
Yeah. I would say you're saying it didn't even get nominated. It feels like a nomination, but not a win, like.
Yeah, I agree. It got, what did I say earlier? It got sound. Hold on, I can find it. It got 3 Oscar noms for film editing, which is, I mean, I get it because it was really good. Sound, you nailed it, and then sound editing. But it didn't get any acting or screenplay or best picture. I'm not even fighting for that because it's a blockbuster movie, even though it's done well. The thing that I appreciated about it that I saw on the web, I'm gonna toss some internet research every once in a while because I think it's fun, but I like that it brings up issues of what would you do if you were on that boat in the same position? What would you have done? Let's say you were the captain. I'm gonna put you in Hackman's shoes. Would you have launched the nukes, or would you have waited for the other EAM or whatever it's called?
I guess my question is, how deep could they fire the nukes from? Like, I kind of assume that they need to get to a shallow depth to fire the nukes.
150 feet. That's launch depth, I think. I was just watching 15 minutes ago, or like 30 minutes ago.
I guess their radio, I mean, there's a whole scene about him having to fix the radio because it's so many, they get so much damage, and it's like, okay, their radio buoy got severed, so it's gone. They've got like a very high frequency something or other, and it's like, how many different communication technologies do you have here? There's clearly multiple antennas.
Like that other antenna should work.
But and there's a few other like little details here. It's like, okay, they refer to how many minutes, they had like 14 minutes to get their nukes ready, and like 60 minutes for the enemy nukes to get ready.
The Russian launch capabilities.
Russian launch capabilities, yes. And they never really, and the whole point is that they may need to blow up the Russian base before it fires. So there's got to be some number of minutes that their nukes would be in the air before they slam down on the Russian base, right?
I think that's why I gave him the 3 minutes, because I think he figured 5 to 8 minutes to launch the nukes and it hit, so that they couldn't get theirs in the air, as I think what Hackman was thinking. Without they could have gone into it, but I think that's why I gave him the 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Because if we don't launch now, we're not going to have a chance. You ran out of time if you don't get the message.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is if you've got this big, I mean, big, it's only 60 minutes, but in the world of launching nukes, you've got the 60-minute window, like use it, right? So what they end up
Okay.
doing in the end, I feel like I would have come up with that idea earlier. Like, okay, they don't have launch capability until this time. Let's use that time that we've got to figure out what we should do here. I also kind of wondered about the EAM messages that come in. Like, I think they receive a message that says like, prepare your nukes and launch as soon as they're ready. I think is basically what the message tells them to do. So by the time they were going, it would have definitely been at least 14 minutes later before they launched. And it's like maybe they should have sent a message, the government or whoever that's not even represented, right? Should have sent the first message, should have said like, prepare your nukes for launch. And then 14 minutes later, if they were really sure they wanted to fire, then they could say, all right, you're already prepared nukes, launch now, instantly.
Instead of just saying you can launch, because that gave Gene Hackman the green light he needed. Because I don't think he really wanted to, but once they said that, then he was like, "We're doing this." So you
Yes.
can't say that, and then they basically did take it back. I agree. That's what I think makes the movie really good. And I don't know if it was quite Best Picture nomination worthy because it's a thriller and it's a blockbuster kind of movie, but that was some interesting stuff that it brought up where you're like, "Wait, what should you do?" So I liked all that. I appreciated it. Do you think there's a better do you think this was the best title for the movie, or do you think they should have changed it up a little bit?
Crimson Tide. I was thinking about what that's about, and it seems to be just because the ship is the USS Alabama, and
Mhm.
so that's Roll
Crimson.
Tide, Crimson, yeah, Roll
I
Tide.
think it makes sense because it's the ship of the Alabama. Well, you're not
Yeah,
going to call it Roll Tide. That doesn't work. So, like,
right.
you can't literally copy the Alabama college football. You can't copy their slogan. That just doesn't work. So, yeah, I think that's probably one of the better ones.
I think it was a good name. And I also started curious. I probably Google this, like how many other was the Alabama a real nuclear sub? I assume the answer is going to be yes. But
Oh,
then
I'm
my
sure.
other
I
question is
think
going to
so.
be like, well, how many nuclear subs did or does the U.S. have?
That
And
was my
so,
question because, like, they hint at there's other ships. Like, would you really just have one out there? Like, Denzel's saying there are other ships that can take it where we've got damage. He says it at one point. This was one of my favorite things. We'd be firing blind. He's yelling to Webs. He's
yeah,
like, we'd be firing blind, and he gets through to him, which was cool. They give Webs his moment to stand up to, well, he actually does.
he stands up to him for about
He tries to stand
30
up to him until he
seconds.
threatens to kill somebody. That's what the most backbone Webs had. So if we have a weak link in this movie, it's Webs's backbone. That's the weak
Exactly.
link.
The whole thing could have been avoided if Webs had a backbone.
I agree. We're gonna do longer ones in the future. We only got a couple more minutes. Any closing thoughts on this? Like anything on the two dudes' careers? Gene Hackman was starting to wind down. He still had some greats in him though. He did Enemy of the State. That was a pretty freaking awesome movie. But most of his best stuff was already behind him. I really liked him in Runaway Jury too. Um, I never saw The Birdcage. He was in Quicker Than Dead that same year. I know it's one of your favorites.
Hey, you named it. I was waiting for it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go. I've watched it since. I still like it. I don't like it as much as I did when I was younger, but it still is a fun movie. But most of his best work was behind him. He retired 9 years later. He actually didn't die till this year. He was 90. Was he 95? Yeah, he was 95 years old. He didn't die till earlier this year, but he retired over 20 years ago. But he still had some more good stuff in him. I think it was really interesting as this is like you nailed it. This is the beginning of Denzel. Any closing thoughts about either of these guys? And then I think we could maybe pick our next movie.
I think that's all I got on Crimson Tide.
All
Just
right.
overall good movie.
I think one of our next picks might be another. Well, I don't want to do the first Top Gun. We might end up. I might talk Brad into Top Gun Maverick, or which I've watched a lot recently, or I was thinking maybe one of our favorite Mission Impossibles. I think a Tom Cruise movie needs to be next because he's one of my favorite other actors. I think for the next movie I either want Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise, one of my favorite actors. We need to pick one of their movies. So I'm thinking a Top Gun, a Mission Impossible. There's so many good Tom Cruise movies, or a Tom Hanks movie. I think we should pick next.
Okay. I think I
And
need
I
to get
got
you
I
to. I kind of want to pick movies that you've never seen before. Get you off your
Oh,
toes.
oh, you want to? Well, we could do that moving forward. I could go watch. We could do another Hackman one and do the French Connection, but I wanted to do a newer one. So, but yeah, okay. Well, we will, guys. This was a lot of fun. Please go subscribe to the YouTube channel. I should have said at the beginning. This is part of Fun Pulse Network, which is launching. This is on July 31st. It's launching tomorrow with its inaugural show. I'll be dropping movie shorts on here and there, and we'll be doing these once a month or so. But go give us your review of this. I'm excited for family and friends to watch it. It's going to be fun. Brad, I had a blast. We'll probably knock another one out in August. I like that idea. We pick one that one of us hasn't seen. It's kind of fun. So we'll see you guys soon with another movie. Thanks for hanging out, dude.
Yep. Thank you, Isaac.